Basically, when I first play professionally was somewhere in the mid to late 70s. I started dating this little girl who was a bartender downtown DC. And she said, well, you know, my boss, he's an old biker guy. You should go talk to him. Your band could play down there. And at the time, we were doing a 2-guitar thing, and we were doing this really strange. We were really into heavy music like Sabbath. We were really into like energy music like Dictators and the Stooges, and we were really into jazz. And at the same time, we were really into like rock and roll like Jerry Lee Lewis, and so that was like this kind of crazy mixture. I always loved the energy thing, and so my thoughts then were that we really needed to get an explosive lead singer. To me, that was the key to like really kicking some doors down. So we looked around for a little while. We found this guy named Vance Bacchus. And Vance sort of cut his teeth on the heavy scene. He actually played bass in Pentagram early in the day. Like I can remember walking in when Judas Priest first actually, they weren't even drawn, they were drawn maybe 400 or 500 people at the time. They just released, it was called Killing Machine. I think that was the British, it was actually Hellbent for Leather. And Les Binks was still playing drums, so it was still the stained glass lineup. No frills, no motorcycle, no studs, no nothing. And they played this big venue in Virginia. And I walked in, and Pentagram was supporting Priest. And I walked in, and I heard my sound. I heard the sound that I loved. And I was like, wow. I was amazed that somebody else was doing it. I couldn't believe it. And basically that was Bobby Liebling singing, and that was Vance playing bass. So we later recruited Vance to be our singer because Vance sort of struck me as the combination between like Morrison, Iggy, and Ozzy. And he had this. We used to encourage him to like whip out his crank, and I mean that's what it was all about back then. As we started to evolve, I realized that my heart really was in the heavier stuff. Like my heart was really into the Sabbath, the Mahavishnu Orchestra, the King Crimson kind of thing. So, there came a point when I realized that the Johnny Thunders thing was not my thing anymore. So we phased out we phased that out, and that's when I decided, along with my bass player at the time, Mark Lowy. He was the original bass player for The Obsessed, and I learned a lot from him. He was a little bit older than me. He'd always encouraged me to sing. He's like, why don't you should sing? Come on now, you're writing songs, why don't you sing these songs? That way, I just never had the confidence to do it, but slowly but surely, I started singing my own stuff. And then that's how I learned that I really needed to tune down a little bit from standard for my voice. Like I started to feel where my range was. And so that's what I did for a while. And we did that was The Obsessed, the later incarnation of The Obsessed, when we lost the lead singer, and we became a 3-piece with me singing.